Hello YouTube, this is Froogle, and as promised on the Facebook page, if you're not already a member you should go and join up, facebook.com/FroogleSim. This is a video blog about stuff that's going on. First of all, I've got to say a big thank you to everybody that's subscribed. The growth of this channel has been really quite crazy. A couple of weeks ago I had 2,000, or a month ago I had 2,000 subscribers. Now it's 4,000, hurtling towards 5,000. It's insane, and picking up an average of 23 to 25 new subscribers a day. So welcome to all you new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing, and all you existing subscribers who've been spreading the word, doing your likes and your subscribes on the videos, which is how we get more subscribers. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. And as I said at the beginning of this video, there is a Facebook page, facebook.com/FroogleSim. If you are a Facebook member, in fact, even if you're not, it's a public page, then you can join up there, and I post up previews of videos that are coming up and chat with you all. It's a lot easier to chat there than it is here. So, just saying. Okay, what's going on? What am I working on? Well, I'm working on a tutorial series on helicopters, and the strange thing or surprising thing with that is it's actually based in X-Plane, which we'll get onto in a little while in this video, by the way. But I get a lot of questions because of the DCS Black Shark videos about how do you fly a helicopter, and can you show us landings, and can you show us takeoffs, and all those wonderful things. So I thought I would do an in-depth series like the 737 NGX series, focusing on helicopters. So how do you do all the basics of flight, so coordinated turns, takeoff, landings, and all that stuff, but also how do you navigate from A to B, how do you undertake a proper normal flight using a helicopter, which is pretty cool, and we'll get onto the X-Plane bit in a minute. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on some more NGX stuff. I know a lot of you love the NGX stuff. 150,000 views on the first series I put up, which is bonkers. So I'm doing more on the NGX, and I think you're going to like it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I think you're going to get a kick out of it. It's pretty cool, even if it's giving me a headache in terms of the amount of stuff that I need to learn and practice over and over and over. Okay, so question that I asked on Facebook that I want to answer here or address here, because I get this question a lot as well, is what is the future of simulation on the desktop? You know, now that FSX is no longer supported, Microsoft killed the Flight project as well. And incidentally, Flight, although as released was really pretty lame, it had a lot of potential. There was a lot of stuff beneath the surface that most of us didn't see in terms of its aerodynamics modeling, its what's the word for water modeling? Aquadynamic, water modeling, but its general physics and simulation engine was pretty outstanding. It's just a shame that the team didn't get to show us all of that, which is, it's a shame. But given that those two big products, which really are the leaders, especially FSX, have been canned some time ago, where are we heading? There is actually quite a lot of hope. I'm actually pretty excited. I think this is a great time to be involved in desktop simulation. We have FSX still. It's not going to go away. No one's going to stop you using FSX, although Microsoft might turn off the authentication service, which would make installing a problem. But you still have FSX. FS9 is still going really well. There's still a lot of people who are in love with FS9, and aircraft add-on manufacturers like Coronado that are still making FS9 aircraft, which is nuts. But the exciting stuff is the other sims, and of those there are, I think, 3 or 4 that are really important to keep an eye on. First is X-Plane, second is DCS, or Digital Combat Simulator. I'll get on to Combat Simulator, okay, but it's a flight simulator. I'll get onto that in a minute. The third one is Prepared, or Prepared 3D. Now, X-Plane, of all of those, well, X-Plane is a 64-bit civil aviation simulator. So just like FSX, but 64-bit. So it can use all the cores that you have in your processor. It can use all the memory that you have. It can make use of good graphics cards. I mean, I think it's DirectX 10 or DirectX 11. It's a pretty advanced thing. The way that they do simulation, especially of flight models in X-Plane, is very different to FSX, and is actually a hell of a lot more realistic. I mean, a huge amount more realistic. Insanely more realistic. That's why I'm doing the helicopter tutorial in X-Plane. If you look at helicopters and look at replays, for example, in FSX, you'll see the helicopter's very angular in its flight path and how it moves. It's not very fluid. It's not very realistic. In X-Plane, that's not the case. It's very fluid, very realistic. X-Plane is able to model vortex rings, retreating blade stalls, all sorts of stuff which you need to be able to simulate to get a decent helicopter experience. X-Plane does that, and as I said, 64-bit. Very cool. X-Plane is very interesting as well because more and more manufacturers are switching to making stuff for X-Plane. Orbex made an announcement a while ago that they are looking at it, or maybe have something in development for it. I can't remember. Carenado have been making planes for it for quite some time now. Gosh, who else? There were a few other big ones that are switching to X-Plane or looking at X-Plane. PMDG have said that they have started to look at X-Plane. No commitment yet as to what's going to come out, but they are looking. So with the scenery manufacturers, the aircraft manufacturers all looking at X-Plane now, that is the one to keep an eye on. The next one, of course, is Prepared, or Prepare 3D. This is an interesting one because what this is Microsoft had a product called ESP. ESP is the commercial version of FSX. So if you're a flight school, for example, you would get ESP. It has a few more features which FSX doesn't. It's a bit more professional. Lockheed kind of bought that. They got the source code for it, they got the license for it, and they actually hired some of the ACES development team, the guys that wrote FSX, to work at Lockheed Martin, just down the road from here in Orlando, and further extend ESP and re-release it as Prepare 3D, or Prepared. So Prepared, to all intents and purposes, is a patched and supported version of FSX. The problem, though, is it's still 32-bit, so it's still DirectX 9, kind of 10 maybe. It still has a lot of issues, a lot of bugs, even though they are fixing them. And the big thing for me, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, is I was doing some videos on it, and I got into the discussion with somebody about the licensing model. You can get Prepared for $49.95 for an academic license, which means that you are somebody that's studying flying. They don't put constraints on that and say you have to be in an approved program or class. They just say studying flying. So technically, I can't make videos on it. If I have the academic license, which I do, I can't make a video on it teaching you people how to fly or showing you guys features or fun stuff, because that's not technically me learning or studying with the sim. That's me using the sim to make videos for your entertainment and ultimately for me to make some money. So there is a risk, and it's a very small risk. There's a risk that if I put up Prepared videos, that Lockheed Martin could at some point jump in, exercise their license, give me copyright strikes on YouTube, which ultimately could shut the channel down. So while it's a very small risk, and I know other people have put up Prepared videos, I'm not prepared to do so. So on that end, to that end, I'm going to be doing a live stream. Look at facebook.com/FroogleSim. I will announce the live stream there. There will be a live stream of about 2 hours looking at Prepared. So it will show you what it is, what you can do with it, how it differs from FSX, how it's similar to FSX, the compatibility. I've got most of my aircraft running in it. It's very compatible, but you have to jump through some hoops. So that's option number 2. And the third option, is, as I said, is DCS. Now, DCS is from Eagle Dynamics. They make DCS A10, they make Flaming Cliffs, Lock On, DCS Black Shark 2, and so on and so on. They announced last year that they were opening the platform up, much like Microsoft opening up FSX and getting third-party vendors to come in and make scenery and aircraft. Eagle Dynamics and the Fighter Collection, they're partnered, have done the same thing, and they're inviting companies to come in and make extra aircraft and scenery, theaters of operation, I guess, for the DCS world. So you have Belsim Tech right now that are working on a Huey. You have Razbam that are working on the Harrier. I think they're working on the T something Buckeye, T65 Buckeye, I want to say. There's Iris, I think, are working on an F-15, I'm not sure. And obviously DCS and Eagle Dynamics have their own aircraft in development. So that, again, like X-Plane, is a 64-bit simulator. It can use all the cores in your machine, all the memory in your machine. It can make use of good graphics cards, big displays. It's pretty exciting. So if you're interested in the combat side of stuff, then DCS is a very interesting sim to look at. X-Plane as well is a very interesting sim to look at. For my preference, the sim that I have all my hopes pinned on right now is actually X-Plane, and I know a lot of people don't like it, and I don't want to get into the whole religious debate of it's crap, it doesn't look good, the graphics aren't very good, the scenery is not as good as FSX, none of the airports have buildings. That doesn't really matter. If you're flying a flight simulation, then you want the experience of flight to be very, very good. FSX is a very good systems simulation, so this is why you have aircraft like the PMDG 737 NGX. FSX is very, very good at providing an interface that developers can plug into to intricately model systems. And when you fly the NGX, that's really what you're flying, is a whole bunch of automated systems, or computer-controlled systems. X-Plane is a flight simulation. So if you want to fly, then ignore the fact that some of the airports, or many of the airports, don't have buildings, and enjoy the fact that you have really good aerodynamics modeling, really good physics, and it feels like flying. And I think that's the big thing to me, is it actually feels like flying when I take up an aircraft in X-Plane, as opposed to FSX or Prepared or even DCS. So that's interesting. There's one other one that I should mention as well. My friends at the Warhawks, that's war-hawks.net, which is the online squadron that I fly with, have been badgering the hell out of me to fly, of all things, Falcon 4. Now, Falcon 4 is 10 years old or so. It's about the same age as FSX, maybe a little older, from Microprose. F-16 simulation. Well, a company called BMS, I'm not sure that's the right name of the company, but somebody has come up with a free product called BMS Falcon, or Falcon BMS, which what they've done is they've taken Falcon 4 and they've updated it. So they've given it a track IR aware 3D cockpit. You've got 6 degrees of freedom. You can move around in the cockpit and stuff. They have put in place incredibly detailed modeling of everything within the sim, within the aircraft, and added on other aircraft. So there are F-18s in there, F-15s, F-14s. There are Russian aircraft in there, and so on and so on. It's incredibly deep. I mean, the PMDG aircraft comes with 3,000 pages, pretty much so does BMS. So that's another sim that's worth paying attention to, if only for the fact that it's not community developed. Well, in some respects it is community developed, but free. All you need is Falcon 4, which is actually pretty hard to get hold of. But if you have that, then you can put BMS on, and it's a whole new sim. I mean, it looks amazing. I'll be doing some videos on that coming up soon. So, videos coming up, helicopter tutorials, super secret NGX stuff is coming up. I've still got to do the Quality Wings 146 videos as well. There are others in the pipeline. I don't want to commit to them just yet. I want to get comfortable with the aircraft before I do videos on them. That's all I got. Thank you for subscribing. I very much appreciate it. This channel is growing like a weed. It's crazy, which ultimately lets me do more videos. You know, the more subscribers there are, then the more justification there is for me to spend a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months studying something and doing a whole bunch of very deep videos on it. So thank you very much. And again, I got to push it. Please, please, please join facebook.com/FroogleSim. It's very interactive. You can speak to me there. You get glimpses and previews of upcoming videos. It's pretty cool. See you in the air.